Structure requirements for residential, commercial and industrial developments on time, on budget. Find out more at lancogroup.com.au. Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions.
Penalty conceding kind of situation, but Atkinson did well. Oh my goodness! Have you seen a more freakish goal in A-League history? Riley McGreen with a scorpion kick into the top corner. It's one of the most amazing things we've ever seen. Come on, Ernie, on your feet.
You're listening to FNR, Football Nation Radio.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
You're listening to Paco Radio, brought to you by Senol on FNR, Football Nation Radio.
Hello everybody and welcome to Paco Radio here on FNR Football Nation Radio, brought to you by Senol. My name is Nick Dabano and we're back for another edition this week, right into Season 2 here on FNR, and today we're going back to the senior men's side. We've brought two new fresh faces into one fresh face back to Pascoe Vale, and obviously as well Johnny, who's been here for quite some time. So Nick Georgeopoulos joining us here today, and as well Jonathan Varkitsas. Guys, welcome aboard. Great to have you in tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Good to be here.
Well, we spoke about it a little bit off there about the win on the weekend. Good to get back to winning ways. Obviously, some tough results the last few weeks, but going to Werribee, a tough place to go, a team that needed results at this point in the season. I guess, how'd you guys see the performance on the weekend?
I guess we started off a bit slow. Kind of took us a while to get things going, but we copped an unlucky goal off a free kick, I thought, and at halftime, we were still pretty confident we could get a result, and we just tweaked a few things, and then we came out really strong in the second half. Had some good support from the boys coming on, like Nicky, and we just ran away with the game. So a bit of a relief to down, good to get back on the win list. It's been probably 3 weeks there where we struggled, but we're still playing good football. So. Yeah, it was a good feeling after the game.
And Nick, for yourself, first game back, coming off the bench, I guess, how was it to make the return to Pascoe Vale? And just take us through the emotions of coming back this time around.
It was good. It was my second, so I played my first game against, what's the team we were called? Manningham. And then that was my first game back at CB Smith. So it was especially nice there, being back at the home ground with all the boys. But to get the first win back with Paco and to sing the song that I was once singing was especially just have all the boys behind the back, and it's been really good so far. So
I guess take us through the last few weeks, because you guys were right. You're still in the promotion race right now, but there is a bit of a gap that's formed with Moreland City over the past couple of weeks with those drop points. I guess take us in to the camp over the last few weeks and the importance of just getting that win, just get a bit of confidence going into these next few weeks. Just how important was it, and especially in a way of coming from behind at a tough place to go to like Werribee?
Yeah, well, I guess we always were pretty aware that there were going to be a lot of teams competing for that sort of second, third spot and pushing for promotion. And I think it was probably the Brunswick game, or maybe it was the one before that where we might have lost. We're still playing really good football. I think there were just a couple of things didn't go our way that day against Brunswick. Ended up 1-1, and then again last week was just a bit disappointing. Probably the worst we've played. I guess we're kind of in that period now where the transfer window opens, and a lot of teams really make that extra push for promotion. So we had a bit. I guess we were a bit bit disjointed during the few weeks. I was sick out one week and had a couple red cards, which were disappointing. So we've kind of been a bit unsettled in terms of the changes made. And that's where I think we've made a couple signings that can probably really support us. And we're still very confident with the players we have in our team. And I guess with some of those signings now, they're strong to close out the season and hopefully get, maximum points.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I guess take us into sort of what it was like at halftime. I mean, 1-0 down, you're playing against a team that, ostensibly this season they've really struggled, but they had that win against Kingston. They were buoyant going into that game, got the early goal. What was Alex's message at that point? Because obviously you're down, you need to try to find the way back into the game. What was sort of his message? Was just to keep calm and, just go through the processes? Like what was going on there?
Yeah, I think he acknowledged that we probably started a bit slow, but we definitely weren't out of the game even though we were 1-0 down. I think he was very firm in his point that a goal was coming, and that if we get one, we'll score and hopefully score. So it was really good, just that confidence. Even though we're 1-0 down, I think we were all very, very focused on, the fact that we'd come out in the second half and be a bit stronger, a bit firmer. And I think there were just a couple minor tactical tweaks that we made in terms of going forward, how we wanted to try and set up, how we wanted to score our goals. And then, basically happened straight away. I think we got one and then the second one came straight after. So I guess it was more so just the having confidence, trusting and believing in each other in the way that we were playing, because we could see it was working, but it was just a matter of patience, I think.
Yeah.
So, it was very well spoken at halftime, I thought, from Alex, and I guess it paid off.
Yeah, just one question I have, because we speak about this among sort of, us, when we cover the NPL, we chat about this, about how NPL 2 is such a tough league. And obviously, despite the gap between GV Suns and say you guys, or even with North Geelong Warriors, that every game always feels that tough. There's always that chaos. And you guys have both played NPL 1 and NPL 2. Is there, what's the difference? Do you feel like there's a bit more of a difference in terms of the competitive nature of NPL 2 compared to NPL 1? Is there a noticeable difference, when you guys have stepped foot into NPL 2 compared to those meetings when you've been the top tier?
What do you reckon?
I think the promotion and relegation system that NPL 2 has sort of creates that bit of extra emphasis on every game is super important. It's not to say that NPL 1 teams add everything in that a game isn't important, but I think that some teams in NPL 1 can sort of get caught in that sort of mid-drift where maybe their game might not be as crucial or something like that. So I think in NPL 2, where there's teams that can be promoted at the top and then teams that can get relegated at the bottom, it really just creates a very interesting game, no matter where you're going, whether you're playing Werribee away or you're playing Werribee at home, or you're playing a top side like North Geelong. I think no matter where you're going to go, you're going to get a good game.
Yeah. No, I'd like Werribee, like a desperate side like that. Is there a noticeable difference at this point of the season as well when you're playing a team like a desperate side like Werribee, where every point they need to get on the board as well, you guys being desperate as well, going for promotion, but when they're sort of fighting for their lives? Did you guys notice that early in the game on Saturday?
I think particularly last week when we versed Manningham, after the game they were absolutely livid, so they were celebrating, they were almost like they'd won the World Cup sort of thing, and that just really showed, being my first game back, there's a lot of clubs here where these games are very, very important, because that then put them 3 points ahead of the relegation. And you can just tell how important these games are just to every single club, because those 3 points when the league is so tight just means so much. So
yeah, I think especially with us in particular, I think branded and got that reputation where we're a very good ball playing team. So I think teams kind of acknowledge that if they're going to compete with us, it's about matching the intensity and really coming to games with that sort of fierce competitive nature. So like Nicky said, last week was just a battle almost, and same as on the weekend. I think they knew that if they were really going to compete, they were going to get in our faces, be physical, and try and compete for the 90 minutes. So I think it's maybe just a Pascal Val thing as well, yeah, I've definitely can notice that from some of the teams in those positions, each week.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of the senior players we've spoken to here said the same thing. Like when teams play against you guys, knowing that Pascoe Vale are a big club, like they almost rise to that occasion, like coming up against a side like, you guys. And one thing as well I have noticed this year is, and this was a big result for you guys in more way than one, that on the road this year, results haven't been easy for you guys. There's been a few tough road trips. You haven't been able to have the best form on the road compared to at home. Was that something spoken about, after the game, that you finally got one off the back on the road, especially at a place like Werribee?
I don't really think we've discussed it, but it's funny. Like I think I was later one night after training, and a few of the boys mentioned we had like one of the best home records in the league, and I thought, it's a bit strange. Like never really, like I don't analyse each week and say, hey, like, geez, we played good at home. But yeah, I guess definitely in retrospect, we've probably lost a few away games, and it might be that, surroundings, whatever, fans, crowd, different pitches that we may have struggled with. So, I mean, it is in the back of my mind, but I don't really think it's something we discuss, no.
Yeah, because obviously with some of the pitches, it's no secret that, especially when you go to a place like Langwarrin or you go somewhere else, like the dimensions and the pitch and everything else, very different to playing at CB Smith as well. Like, in the sort of the psyche of a player, when you go out into a pitch like that, is that something that weighs on you guys? Like when you go out, say, to a pitch where it's torn up a little bit more, we've seen at this point in the season now as it's winter, pitches aren't in the pristine condition they were earlier in the year. Is that something you guys pick up on like quite early in a game as well?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a mental note straight away as soon as you come on the pitch of maybe if the pitch is a bit bigger, I can play these balls in behind, or if the pitch is, very chopped up, which a lot of them are these days, maybe I am taking that extra touch, or I'm trying to get a bit extra space so I can have that extra touch.
Yeah, sure.
So it's definitely a mental note that you're having as soon as you're onto that ground. So even before the game starts, you'll go and see how the ground is, whether you're wearing medals or moulds. It comes down just to that, because a lot of the games now, if you're wearing a pair of moulds, you slip over, whatever it is, like can cost you a goal, whatever it is. So it's definitely a mental note that I think the team will have, and as an individual yourself, that you'll definitely take a mental note,
Yeah, I think like as a team, we kind of still persist on trying to play regardless of what sort of pitch we're on. Personally, as a defender, like Nicky said, I think it's pretty important to have a look at your surroundings, where you are. I guess sometimes for a defender, if I see it's going to be muddy or it's going to be difficult to control the ball, it might play into my hands a bit because I can get a bit tighter on my player. But yeah, some of the pitches in NPL2 have been pretty difficult to play on, and yeah, I guess maybe that plays against our sort of playing style and trying to keep the ball. It might not work as well when we're away from home with some of the grounds,
Yeah, sure. Well, Nick, take us through, now you're back. Obviously, Pascoe Vale, Green Gully earlier this season and making the return back. I guess take us through that sort of situation and how it sort of came to be. Obviously being at a team like Green Gully, competing for finals this season, NPL 1, round of 32 of the Australia Cup, big side. Like, sort of what was the decision-making behind coming back?
Yeah, I enjoyed my time at Green Gully. I have nothing but good things to say about them. I just found myself getting into a position where I wasn't getting the amount of game time that I thought that I needed for myself as a footballer. Especially coming out of COVID, the last 2 years, I've already had such limited game time. And I think at the age that I am, game time is just very, very important as to me for how to improve as a player. So I just sort of found myself not getting the game time that I thought I needed to be able to progress. And Pascoe Vale, coming from Pascoe Vale, it's always been, in the back of my head of if I wanted to move, that I would be able to come here. I know some people still there. For instance, the assistant coach, Oliver Stankowski, he used to coach me in under-18s.
Sure.
So I definitely, obviously have people there that I know and I trust. And I just think for a mid-season transfer where I'm able to go to an environment where I know people, like for instance, Johnny, I played with him when I was there before. I'd be a lot easier of a transition to come in and play compared to if I was to pick elsewhere, where it would be a bit of a harder transition, new environment, having to prove myself. Where not that I don't have to prove myself here, but people know what they're getting. They've worked with me before, and so I just thought for that instance of a quick transition mid-season was the best decision for my end.
Yeah, no, sure. And obviously as well, you mentioned people you trust at the club. Your dad's the under-20s coach as well. Like, I guess, did that help in sort of decision making? Did he have a chat to you about potentially, did you go to him to maybe ask for some advice in that instance as well?
Yeah, look, Dad's always, not had a say, but he's always guided me with my football career, and I respect his decisions on what he thinks. So, yeah, he definitely had a say, but at the end of the day, it still came down to me what I thought was best. He always says, whatever I think and whatever I want to do is, at the end of the day, comes down to me. But, yeah, he definitely had a say, and he said why he thought certain things would be a positive for me, and, sort of broke it down. But I think by the end of it, we both agreed that Paco Vale was a good move for me.
Yeah, and obviously the both of you are, relatively young players, and you've had two very disrupted years going into this year, obviously, with 2020, no football, 2021, a handful of games, stop-start nature, game 1 week, you don't know if you're playing the next sort of thing. We speak about this with everyone, but how good is it just to be able to play every week, not knowing, actually knowing, okay, we're going to get a game this week, we're able to get a full season in, just for yourselves personally, but as well for your developments as players too.
Yeah, well, I guess, the last 2 years were pretty difficult, especially that first one. I mean, pre-season, it was no contact, and then we came back with the thought of this 2 month season happening, and basically just did pre-season for no reason. So that one was really difficult, and I guess even from a personal level, it's just been good to kind of not miss any games, not be injured, and I think what are we 12 weeks now? It's crazy to think I haven't been able to play 12 games of football in a row for 3 years now.
Yeah.
So, every week's been really enjoyable. I think from the second Alex came in, it's been really positive, and it's good to be back. Yeah,
for sure. And for yourself, Nick, just getting games in this year, and as well, just playing every week, and in that instance, how have you found this last week?
Yeah. Being used to playing games week in, week out, you don't sort of realise, you sort of start to take it for granted until all those normalities are just taken away from you. So during the 2 years of stop-start and, not playing football, it really made me realise, damn, I really do love this, and, this is what I want to be doing, because just when it was stripped away from you, you just had nothing to do. You're thinking, that I just want to be back on the ground. So being able to just be back and playing weeks, and now being back at Paco Vale, and getting more minutes and just being on the ground, I just seem to be enjoying myself. The longer I'm on the ground, the more I'm enjoying myself. So it's good.
How did it weigh on you guys mentally? It's such a big thing, football, just not in terms of just playing it, but as that just sort of thing you can look forward to every weekend. And I think as well from a fan point of view, to a player, to whoever's involved in the club, that was taken away from them. How did you guys cope with that? Did you, of course, it almost seems like a silly question to ask if you found it hard, but how did you guys, I guess, deal with those sort of situations?
Yeah, well, I think the good thing with the first year of lockdown was we were kind of still pretty, even though we were fairly aware that nothing was going to be happening with the season, we still kind of persisted in the fact that we would keep doing our training sessions, we'd be running, and I think as a credit to Chicky at the time, who was the coach, and our fitness coach, we were all, assigned running programs, things like that, and we made sure everyone was kept accountable with that stuff. So, I mean, it was tough not being able to train with everyone and that sort of stuff, but it didn't feel, I guess, as distant from the team.
Sure.
Even at stages, I would go for a kick here and there with a few of the boys, or a run, and we were still always kind of in contact. So although we didn't get the opportunity to train together, we still made an effort to, make sure football was somehow involved in our lives. And in retrospect, I think it would have been a really tough time if even if we weren't doing those small things, because they were some of the highlights of my time during the COVID time. So yeah.
And for yourself, Nick?
I think it was just a good way to sort of have a somewhat of a normal life playing football. If it was just going to the park with a couple of friends, getting as close as possible to having a normal life. And just kept me busy, it was so hard just to keep busy during those times, just to be able to have my mind on something, my mind taken away from the pandemic of staying home, being bored. And I think it also gave a lot of period of time to be able to work on specific things where if you were playing the season week in, week out, you wouldn't have been able to do that. So I think it was a good advantage in that sense. So for some players, I know they would have taken advantage of that, and others not. So I made sure during that spare time, like if I'm going to be doing nothing anyways, maybe doing something productive, and that's going to help me out. So it was good.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, guys, one thing we also speak about a lot in this show is obviously just playing careers. Like how you guys have obviously had, quite extensive playing careers, especially for yourself, Johnny. Like, was told beforehand you featured for this country. I mean, you've played for at a youth level for Australia, and I want to get to know a little bit about that sort of environment, a little bit about that experience. So I guess take us through it. I mean, under 17 Australia side off to the World Cup. How was all that?
It was awesome. I guess I kind of missed out on some of the junior state teams growing up, but then I think I made the NTC at the time when I was at like 15, 16, and had like grown up playing midfield, and basically everyone was a superstar midfielder at that time.
Sure.
And I looked around at the other midfielders and I thought, these kids are probably better than me. And I guess it was that year I moved into right back. And still, again, like it was at that time where we were all about like playing football, the curriculum and stuff. So I was getting forward and I could defend a bit. So I guess I kind of played to my advantage and really improved within the space of a year and a half. And that was when I was kind of on the radar for the national team. And it was at that time a few of us went to the Victory youth team as well. And then I guess they were happy with how I was going and just consistently was making all the camps, making all the teams. And then, got selected for the under-17s Joeys for the World Cup. Wasn't involved in any of the qualifications, just kind of, I guess, peaked at the right time.
Yeah, sure.
I was playing really well at the time,
Yeah.
I thought. I played every minute at the World Cup, and it was amazing. Like at that time, there were kind of kids at that age who were signing like professional contracts with EPL teams and these teams, and some of them have gone on to do amazing things. So even just to play with some of the boys in that team, there are some quality kids, and coaching staff were all either ex-Socceroos or really famous footballers. So it was amazing. Even the fact that I just got to get away from school for a few months and travel with my mates. I look very look back with very fond memories, and it was very lucky to be a part of.
What was it like going from not being involved in qualification to getting the phone call being told you're going? Like, did you expect it? Could you see it coming? Like, had you had conversations?
No, well, like even when we made like the state team, everyone was kind of aware of all these kids who were playing, like Arzani, for instance.
Yeah, sure.
We all knew like who these players were, and it was a bit intimidating, like competing against them. And at first, like they were all the ones that were getting the RAS scholarship, so we kind of looked at that and thought like, oh, well, like these kids are pretty good. But then I think what kind of reassured me was when Victory came and picked us all up and basically threw us straight into the youth setup. And again, I was straight away playing games with like Tommy Dang, Jesse Macaronis would drop down here and then. Naboot would come play with us.
This is in the NPL, yeah.
This was NYL at the time, So I guess that was when I thought, oh, wow, like they've got these guys on my team, I'm playing minutes. I think maybe I'm a chance here. And we also would play against the RAS in that league, and we ended up beating them, and I had a pretty good game at the time. And I think it was around then I thought, oh, like, I should really, push hard for this. And from then on, we were invited to all the camps, and I guess I was getting really good feedback from the coaches. I think the players would say good things about me, and I felt confident being out there. So I guess there was no stage. The early days, definitely, I had my doubts, but I think I kind of just grew into it, and playing in a new position as well was probably partly the reason. But I guess my confidence just grew as the time went on.
Yeah, well, in terms of your experience as well at Melbourne Victory, I mean, you were there obviously with a lot of players now, as you mentioned, who have gone on to make it professionally and everything like that. I guess take us through that experience playing at that point, because if my memory serves me correct as well, from an NPL point of view, Victory got to the top tier. I think it might have been around that point as well. Were you involved in that team too? Yeah,
so I was kind of on the fringe of that NPL senior team. And again, I'd heard about a few of the boys who had been playing NPL at the time, and a lot of them were, 17, 18, and they were team of the year NPL.
Yeah.
So like coming in and just training and being a part of that team, like it was pretty incredible. And again, a lot of those boys have gone on to do great things, and we're all very good footballers. And I guess that was a great sort of learning year because it also kind of taught me about the NPL and I guess how serious senior football is, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to just think A-League, but some of the experiences throughout that year and that competition was extremely fierce, and we ended up, getting promotion through the playoffs. And I was lucky to sit on the bench for the second game against North Geelong, and here we are like at a neutral ground, and North Geelong had driven busfuls of people up to and it was just I guess a good year, and learned a lot about senior football and how I guess NPL, like what the standard's like, and it was very impressive.
Just one more on that. When you're playing for Victory as a youth player in the NPL and you're playing against grown men, is that something that gets spoken about in the picture there? Little sledges, do you feel like there's a little bit more spice in it because they're coming up against these guys, think, who are these hot shots? You see it in NPL 3 as well, like watching Preston play Melbourne Victory on the weekend, you see a bit of extra physicality in there and everything. Did you used to feel that as well when you came up against these guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone knows that the youth teams are going to just really try outplay teams.
Yeah, sure.
And the best way to combat that is really to, try and get physical and try and body these kids. And I think that year that we ended up getting promoted to NPL, we had a lot of the older boys leave. So, I think we might have been 17, 18 at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm looking around at these guys are like 30, trying to compete against them. And I'm pretty short. I'm not tall, and I ended up playing centre back for half the year, and like just some of the quality in these players was really difficult to defend. And we had a really tough year that we got relegated with all those changes. Sledging, not so much, I don't think, but I definitely I know for sure teams would pencil that game out and say we're going to really try bully these kids, right? And honestly, if I was in that position, I'd probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
There were times where what we did at Victory Youth was really good, and we played some great football past these teams, and then other times the contest was just too much for us. Yeah,
for sure. Well, maybe next year you might be coming up against a few of them, so maybe keep that one in the back of your head. It's coming up. So
well, we played Melbourne City in a practice match, and I was watching from the sidelines the whole time, and I thought wow, these kids can really play the ball, their quality. And I guess our game plan was to match their intensity and press, which we've been doing all year, and it kind of had its moments, a bit of tug of war, but it was good.
And for yourself, Nick, Rising Star winner a few years ago as well. You're one of the bright young talents in this state. I guess take us through the emotions of winning that award and what that meant to you at that time as well.
It was an amazing night, amazing winning that award. I got invited to the night, and I hadn't pieced it together yet. I thought, maybe I'm a chance here, but when my name actually got called out and to get that recognition from a league level, not just from a club level, it was really a proud moment for myself. So it was good because really it's just it's not because it's through the whole season. It's just a lot of multiple games of playing well and got a couple goals, whatever it was. And I think being as young as I was and looking so young, you sort of get that extra bit of attention. It's how old's this kid? Yeah. So I think that also helped as well. But to get that league recognition, it was a really proud moment for myself, and I think it definitely helped me for the instance for the next year. I had Green Gully obviously come and offer me a contract, and that's where I went the year after. So I think it really gave me that recognition that definitely helped me with my football career as well. So
when you were in that season, did you feel like just things were just ticking over one thing after another as a young player playing against, as we spoke about, grown men, but obviously, things were just working so well for you? Like what was, take us through that season, I guess. Did you feel as if that you're just getting more and more confidence with each passing game and everything like that?
Yeah, well, I think my confidence was just at a really big high, and I had a really good team behind me with the boys. They were really good that year, but it was just game after game, and I know my first game was against Avondale, and they were the top of the ladder at that point, I'm pretty sure. And I got assist to Davey Van Schip when he scored, and I just had a really good game. And I think I didn't really know anyone in the league or anything really about the league, like specific players sort of thing. And I think that really helped because even if I was matching up against someone who's well known in the league, I didn't really know who they were, and I was just playing my game. So I think it really helped. I just sort of took it game by game, and I was playing good here and I was playing good there, and then it just sort of got to a point where like that. I thought like, you know, this is where I should be playing. This is the league I should be playing in. And then when you sort of get that high in confidence, it just really helps and really was able to reflect in my game.
Yeah.
You know, scoring a goal, whatever it was. So once I got a couple games under my belt and gained that confidence, then it just really started ticking over and going and going and going. So it was good.
Yeah, and playing against Avondale, I mean, that's no bigger stage to debut against. You're playing against a team that, you know, notoriously one of the best in Victoria. I guess, you know, playing in that game, take us through that, because you're playing against guys as well, seasoned bodies, guys who have been there and done that. You know, they're not afraid to, you know, not even get a foot in, but afraid to, you know, give it out a little bit as well with some of the, we hear it all the time whenever they're playing, like they like to get involved mentally with sort of their mind games and stuff. How did you, I guess, you know, go with that sort of occasion against them?
Yeah, I think being a smaller player my whole life, I've sort of been used to copying that extra sort of physical contact. Because I am good technically, they, like Johnny was saying before, the way to combat that is through physicality. So I just knew, you know, at first couple of times I received the ball, I thought, yeah, receive the ball, play it nice and short, nice and simple, and then just sort of worked myself into the game. So I knew they were always going to sort of have that physical side on me. So it's just more that instance of taking that one less touch or whatever it was. And like I said, I had the boys behind me, especially Davey Van Schip. He was really good that year because he played striker and I played as a 10. So he was really able to say, here, Nicky, like this is where you need to be or this is what you need to be doing. And he was just very, very good player to be linking up with as well.
Sure.
And so I sort of got that assist early on. That was the first goal that we scored. And I think that was really the big confidence boost that I needed for the rest of the game, because once I got that, then I'm like, well, you know, if I can do that, then I can do these other things. And it really made me not afraid to go and, you know, try and take on a player or have a shot from outside the box. Remember I had a header and the keeper saved it, but so I almost scored a header and I was, you know, pretty pleased myself with that as well. But it would have been better if I went in, but, you know, is what it
happens.
is, so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you both played with Davey. I mean, there's no secret he's one of the best strikers to probably play for Pascoe Vale, one of the best to even feature in NPL Victoria. I guess, you know, coming from such, obviously with his dad being a coach at Melbourne City and coaching as well overseas, I guess, what did you guys learn? You mentioned as well playing alongside him in a more closer aspect, but you playing just alongside him in general, what did you guys pick up with playing alongside Davey throughout his time at the club?
Yeah, he was incredible. And I guess I'd kind of heard his reputation before I came to Paco, and it was the year we played NPL at Victory. So I was well aware of who he was, and yeah, I guess he was one of the best players in the league. But definitely coming to Paco the year after and seeing it firsthand was pretty amazing. I think it was more the fact that he'd been through like a lot in terms of his injuries. He was always kind of carrying, you know, a really bad knee injury, and to the point where like he could almost like not be training and would come to a game on the weekend and would dominate. And it's just like, mate, it looks like he's about to break down any minute.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be playing, but he would honestly probably carry Pascoe Vale at times. And I guess Paco, but even before I came, kind of mastered playing through him and how they were going to do it. So everyone knew like you could feed it into him, however, pass him the ball, however, you know, whatever height where it's coming, he'd be able to lock it in, take on any centre back, and we'd have, you know, good players around him just kind of bouncing off him, like kind of what Nicky said, playing as a 10. So, yeah, definitely incredible watching it firsthand, and probably I joked that, you know, half of my paychecks are probably due to Davey Van Schip winning games off his own boots. So, he was quality.
Yeah, and for yourself, just from a playing point of view, you mentioned that first game, but you had a whole season really playing alongside him, like right next to him, you know, playing as a 10. You know, what sort of lessons did you pick up along the way?
Just sort of where to position myself, knowing I have a striker who wants to receive the ball.
Yeah.
So if he wanted to receive the ball off a centre-back, where am I positioning myself so I can then receive it off of him? Knowing that the play was going to be going through him, I knew if I positioned myself closely enough to him or in a spot where he can play me, well, then I'm going to receive the ball because I know the ball's going to come to him. So it was really good with that. And I think another reason that year why I sort of was getting picked so often and getting game time was because, like Johnny said, he was carrying injuries, and at times maybe he wasn't able to, you know, go and press here or press there. He maybe had to conserve himself with that a little bit more. And being, you know, like a young, fitter player, I was able just to go and, you know, run here and run there and whatever it was. And so it was also good in the sense of he was able to direct me in the sense of, you know, this is where I need you to be or this is where I don't need you to be. So it was good. It was a really good learning curve for me. I was able to pick up a lot of key things, more about positioning, but just even in general, really, just with a lot of things. Even just watching him in training sometimes, he's putting the ball in the top corner and you're like, oh, well, like, that's how you have to hit a ball, you know what I mean? So you definitely pick up a lot of things, just training with him, playing with him. Even off the pitch, he was just a good character to have, good culture. He was really good to have in the club. He was good.
Well, Johnny, I mean, you were part of a very successful Paco team, finals in NPL 1, and then there was obviously the disappointment of 2019, and you got relegated, and then obviously 2 disrupted seasons down in the midst of promotion. But what was that like, that switch from 2018 to 2019? Because going from a team that was right up there to battling relegation, like, in the minds of the players, we spoke to Adrian Tallarico and Joseph Youssef about and just said, like, how did this happen? Like, you know, it just happened out of nowhere. Like, did you notice sort of the same thing as well, or like throughout what was a really tough season?
Yeah. Like, I guess probably one of the main contributors was not having Davey for like a few of those games. And yeah, I guess the first couple of weeks, I just remember like things just weren't going our way, and that kind of set the tone that we put ourselves under a lot more pressure. The fact that, you know, we hadn't gone the first couple of games without scoring, without getting points. So I think that kind of probably pushed us a bit further down into the hole we were in, and yeah, we just like struggled to snap out of it. We were getting like a lot of key players like weren't on the field. We were very young and inexperienced, and then I guess by the time we had the coaching change and all the player changes, we were kind of in a really difficult position where we were trying to get ourselves back afloat with, you know, wholesale changes. And it almost worked. There were a few games in there that like just crazy that things didn't go our way. There was one in particular where I think we lost to Danny Thunder away. I wasn't playing, I was away, but I can't really make comment on the referee.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah,
I don't know if I'm going to find on you, but
no, it's fine.
There was all sorts of stuff that happened in that game, and that at that stage after that game, it was just like, it's not our year. Like this is just not going our way. And although we did some really good things with the team at the time, and we're pushing teams, we just had too much work to do at that stage, and it was a bit unfortunate. Yeah,
well, obviously, when you're in the midst of a relegation battle, like, you know, how does it feel? Like, you know, because it would be tough, like losing more regularly than winning, and, you know, you're looking at the table and you're noticing that it is slipping away. Like, you know, you're going into every game with just, it becomes desperate. Like, what was that like in that period? Yeah, well, I mean, I only played the first half of the year and a couple of the games at the end, but like you said, when I first came to Paco, everything was kind of going our way. We're winning games and everyone was, you know, very happy, very joyful. But then, things like did turn real quickly at the start of the next year, and it just became, I guess, sort of a bit hostile in the sense that like everyone felt the pressure, and it was kind of, you know, everyone's job was on the line. And I guess it just became a bit unproductive, and everyone knew, you know, whether we were conceding goals or weren't scoring, like it was someone's fault. And, you know, everyone felt to blame, but I guess everyone was kind of looking for, you know, what was wrong. And then there probably were a few things going wrong at the time. Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to ask you both about just your experiences at Pascoe Vale in general, because, I mean, you both spent quite a while at Pascoe Vale. I guess take us through, I guess, how you came to the club in the first place. I mean, your journey as well at the club and your experiences. I guess, Nick, start with yourself. I mean, take us through first stint, and obviously we spoke the second part, we'll speak at the first part. I mean, how did it come to be for you to end up at Pascoe Vale? Well, I joined Pascoe Vale in under 15s. My dad coached me that year, so I think we came second or third that year, but the year before they'd finished quite lower in the league, so it was a good jump up. So I played under 15s and then 16s again. I played with my dad, and then we won that year. So that was a good year for us. And then under 18s, I had Oliver Stankowski, who came in and coached us as well, and we also won the league that year as well. So under 18s was probably my biggest breakout year. I think that's sort of when my body began to grow, and it became less of a thing of, not everyone is as quick now, and like my body's, even it's a level playing field more. And now when your technical ability is really what starts to show. So I think that was definitely my biggest breakout year, and we won the league that year, and it was a really fun, very, very good year that was.
And then I sort of skipped from, I didn't play any under 20s games.
Yeah.
Even in under 18s, I sort of struggled to even train with the 20s at times. And I sort of felt myself thinking like, maybe I should be there training, but I wasn't. But, I kept at it, whatever it was. So then the next year, I think the seniors just needed a couple players. They had a couple injuries. I remember we versed Oakley in a practice game, and I just scored a really, really nice goal. And at the end of the day, like, for a debutant, like, that's just all you really need.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big thing. Everyone's thinking, like, if he can do that, well, then he can perform. Especially Oakley being a prestigious club and like a good club as well. So that was definitely a bit of luck, but also like well done to myself as well. I think scoring that, everyone sort of thought, yeah, well, this is we should need to get him in, and then from there I just kept on training, and then like I was a bit lucky in the sense of a couple of players had injuries, and like things just sort of worked out where. I was getting the minutes, and when I got those minutes, like I said, in Avondale in my first game, I played well, and it just went from there. So after that, it was just game after game, and like I said, it was a good experience overall. But yeah, I really enjoyed my time at Pascoe Vale, and I thought that's why is it a good reason for me to come back and finish what I started, sort of thing. So
yeah. Well, what drew you to Pascoe Vale in the first place? Like when you came in under 15s, where were you prior to that? Like was it sort of just that you needed a change of scenery? What was sort of the driving force behind coming at that time?
Under 14s, I was at Hume City.
Yeah.
I felt like Hume City sort of didn't reflect how I play my football, in the sense of ball on the ground, a bit more technically playing out, where I think at my time at Hume that 1 year, I was with quicker, stronger boys, and we won the year that league as well. But I think it was balls over the top a bit more, and it didn't really reflect how I wanted to play my football. So I knew people at Pascoe Vale. I had thought previously about going there the year before, so I'd already trialled there. I already knew like that could be an option for myself. So I think the biggest thing we knew from under 14s to under 15s that my dad was happy to come in and coach me. So it was also a thing of a club that wanted to have him come in and bring a couple players in as well. I remember in our under 15s team, I think we had 5 or 6 new players. So it was just, I had family there. It was always an option, and Pascoe Vale was just a really good family-orientated club. And even when I was there trialling, I always felt like very respected, very wanted. And it's just, in that sense, it's just a very, very good club to play for. So
Awesome. And yourself, Johnny, when you came over to Pascoe Vale, I guess how did that all come to be after your stay at Melbourne Victory?
Yeah, well, I guess I was kind of getting to the age where I was probably one of the older youth boys. Kind of felt like I was more sticking around in the youth team because I was the experienced one. Was kind of, almost coaching the younger kids up. Could kind of tell I wasn't really involved in the senior setup. So, I sat down with the youth coaches at the time, kind of explained what was going on, kind of made the realisation that I probably needed to focus on some, life outside of football and had some things I wanted to pursue. So made the call to move to NPL in the mid-year. And I guess the main drawing factor to Pascoe Vale was the fact that I knew a few people at the club, had kind of met Vitali at the time a few times, and I knew Jimmy Toner as well. I'd spoken to him a couple of times because my friends were at Paco. So I had a very good image of what Paco was about. I played against them, knew what they were all about as well. So I think I made the call as well because I was pretty much guaranteed to be playing week in, week out, and I started within, I guess, 1 or 2 weeks. So that were initially my reasons for coming over to Paco, and then from then on, I think like everyone has a great opinion of Pascoe Vale and the people there. And even when we got relegated, I knew, had spent a bit of time under Chicky the year before, and I was really impressed with him. Was really impressed with the people that were going to stick around. All the boys would still be there. And then same thing this year, even though we had heaps of changes last year, I was pretty confident with Alex coming in and what people had told me about him and his reputation. And again, just there's such great people around the club. There's no real need to look elsewhere when you've got somewhere close to home with great people, a good bunch of boys now as well. So it just seems like a logical decision to stick around, and it's been great. I haven't really had an issue since I've been here. Yeah.
Was it hard to leave Victory though, like at that time? Because obviously, you're playing for the biggest club in Australia, and then you've made that choice obviously at that point, which I can imagine would have been quite difficult at the time.
Yeah. No, it was extremely difficult. especially because like it's not so much like the fact you're at victory. It's more the fact that I think you kind of got to make the adult call where there's more to life outside of football. And I think maybe a lot of the kids that probably get caught up in that youth system, they don't really have that in the back of their mind. Whereas I had a pretty good education, was doing a pretty difficult uni degree at the time, so I think that also played in my mind. And the coaches at the time were extremely supportive, and I guess they were really honest with me. And although it might be a hard decision to make, I think it was probably the right one. And I was lucky there were some good people around me to talk to and had some good advice. It was definitely difficult at the time.
Yeah, sure. Well, guys, obviously we're starting to come towards the end, and we must speak about this weekend coming up. What's next Monday? It's Kingston away. I've had some interesting experiences against Kingston this year. Obviously, Johnny, you've played against them twice this year. Nick, your first trip against them this year. But heading down to the Grange after the Australia Cup loss, the loss at Preston technically, but you've had some... It hasn't been all happy hunting ground against Kingston so far. What can you expect against them on Monday? Yeah, well, like even last year we had a bit of a classic game against them over there where we managed to win 4-3. And last year they were pushing pretty hard for promotion, so I guess they were one of our rivals last year. We know what they're all about. They're definitely an intimidating team. I think especially the game at Preston. We noticed they were really vocal, really firm, and again after we lost and they were 10 men, they let us know about it as well. So I think there's a bit of bad blood there. So I think bit of spite.
Yeah, I definitely think we've penciled this one in that we really want to show up for it. And Monday nights are always a bit of a tough one, night game over there. It almost always gets a bit heated and physical. So. Not to mention what's going on in the league and where we want to be. I guess, it's going to be a really interesting game, and we know it's going to be a pretty full-on one. You ready for it, Nick? Coming up against the very physical bunch in Kingston, yeah?
No, I am. I actually remember the year I played in the senior team for Pasco Vale. We versed them, and that was a big relegation game for us. And I think we ended up winning that game. And I remember Adrian Tallarico scored an absolute banger. And we were celebrating. It was a very, very good night. It's always a big battle over there. They're always a stronger team, more physical team, bit of intimidating team. But I think the boys just got to back what we're doing. We've got that one win now. Now going into the end of the season, we're really trying to gain a bit of momentum. Especially we got teams higher up in the ladder coming up. So I think it's a really important game to be able to gain that momentum and get another win under our belt. But I think us boys, we've all got it. We've all got it ready, so we're ready for the game. We're ready to perform. So, well, having watched them against Werribee a couple of weeks ago, and I've already imagined what you guys are going to be getting yourself into, and that's obviously we're not even going to, probably can't even say the word bullshit, you guys, but he's going to be physical out there. He's going to be lippy. Yeah. How do you guys deal with that as players when you come up against a team that is as physical as Kingston? I think they lead the league in yellow cards or some ridiculous stat like that. They're lippy as well. They do get in your heads, especially if they score early. They've brought some really good players in the transfer window as well. How do you guys cope with that on the field? Like, when they're starting to get in your heads a little bit and there is that bit of extra spite when you've played against them twice this year? Yeah, well, I think we've kind of been caught up in it a couple of times this year where we've kind of let the moment get the better of us, and especially the other week against Brunswick, I think Alex made an important note about trying to focus just on what we can do, and whether the referee's making bad calls or they're mouthing off, saying things. I think we kind of learnt our lesson in that sense where we made the mistake already of getting sucked into that. So I guess especially with the next 5 weeks, I think we definitely know everything's in our hands. So I think the focus is just going to be entirely on us, what we can do, how we're going to play, avoid getting too distracted by the occasion about what the other team's doing. I think, there's a lot of belief in the team about, what we're capable of. So I guess the focus will just be trying to stay focused on ourselves. Yeah. I think you really got to zone in and sort of think to yourself, why is this team doing this? And I think you can also use it to your advantage in the sense of you're still zoned in, you're not biting back, you're not getting into it, but you can use that for a bit of anger on the pitch where, that bit of anger might give you that bit of extra adrenaline or that bit of extra want for the ball or to win. So I think you really just got to zone in and think why they're doing this, but like I said, you definitely can use it to your advantage as well.
Yeah.
Of, I really want to beat these, like, it's like let's get back at them sort of thing. So,
well, going to Kingston as well, it's a Monday night. Like, does that affect preparation at all? Like, do you guys prefer playing, Monday nights? Some teams, obviously, Bulleen and Kingston host the games on those Monday nights. They thrive off that. But going there as an away team on a Monday night, do you guys enjoy that a little bit more? I was talking to Alex Pavlidis today and he was saying, Saturday morning session, got to do that instead. Does that affect preparation at all? How do you guys see it?
Oh, yeah, no, I hate the Monday nights. Yeah. I don't know why any club would want to play Monday nights. I don't get it. Don't understand it at all. And, yeah, I guess like with what Pav said, we're going to sit around all weekend and kind of still got the game on our mind. So it kind of drags that on. Then we've got a short turnaround the week after as well. So there's probably already a bit of anger going out there on a Monday night. That might fuel the game. But yeah, I guess it kind of all adds to it.
Sure.
Yeah, it's definitely one, you got to pencil in and think, all right, it's a Monday night. I really need to, get myself going here, fire myself up. And yeah, I guess there'll be probably a bit of importance pushed on that and making sure everyone's switched on and focused, because Monday nights, you might be working. It might be, you might slip mentally. So I think we'll definitely focus on that and try and make sure everyone's motivated and ready for the kickoff.
Yeah, and then obviously you've got another Monday night coming up in a couple of weeks as well against
there's
Bulleen.
a couple, which will be even bigger. So yeah, I guess it's good prep to get one in, and
absolutely
might get used to it.
Doesn't help that it's an 8:30 start either.
Yes. Well, especially if you guys are coming from one end of town to South Croydon, it's not easy. So honestly, I feel for you guys in that sense. So. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck for next Monday. For those at home, you can watch that game on NPL.tv if you don't want to make the trip down. It's a long trip down to South Croydon. Especially if you are in that Pascoe Vale area, it's probably even longer than some. But yeah, good luck for this Monday, guys. Good luck for the rest of the season as well. And hopefully, by the end of it, you guys are in the top two. You can knock one of those sides out. We'll see how it all plays out over the next 6 weeks.
Cheers.
Right, thanks for having us.
No worries. Well, guys, miss any of it at home, head over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get them. This podcast will be up a little bit later on. But we'll be back again next week for another edition of Paco Radio, brought to you by Senol. But for now, goodbye.